Alright guys, welcome back to another episode Up and Running. Thanks for watching. Alright, today's episode is going to be a little bit different. The original owner's son of my 1969 Dodge Super Bee is coming over to take a look at the car. So that should be real interesting. He was so broken up about selling it, he didn't want to see it again after he helped us load it up on the trailer, and he hasn't seen it since. And I bought it back in 2012, so it's been about 8 years. So anyway, he's going to come over and take a look at it, and I'm sure it'll be a little bit bittersweet for him. I'm hoping we can get him to talk on camera, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. So, but anyway, hopefully you enjoy the episode, and thanks for watching. Alright guys, I wanted to share some sad news with you. My dog Bo passed away this week. She was nearly 16 years old. It was kind of unexpected. I know her dog friend Nikki misses her, and I know I do as well, so she's definitely going to be missed. Alright, my girl Bo just had a special birthday. She just turned 15 years old. So we went down to the DMV and got her permit. In Texas, you can get your driving permit when you're 15. So she's excited to take the old truck out for a ride. Let's take a look at your permit, Bobby. Let's see what you got here. Holy cow, you got a couple of bucks in there. Look at that, there's your permit. She said she hates her driver's license photograph just like everybody. All right, Bobby, you ready to go? We gonna go for a drive? All right, so the guy that I bought the Super Bee from, who is the son of the original owner, has never seen the car since I bought it. He was in a couple of the pictures that I took when I first picked it up 8 years ago, but he's never seen it since. He's always avoided coming to look at it. I think he had a lot of emotional attachment to it. As you can see right now, it's pretty dirty and needs to get cleaned up. So since he's coming tomorrow night, I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up, so at least looks a little bit presentable to him. The inside is real dusty. When I take it down to the shop, it gets really dusty. Leaves fall in the car, stuff like that. The usual stuff when you drive a car. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing cleaned up a little bit so it's a little more presentable. Robert came over and took a look at the Super Bee. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any of it on camera, but I got some cool information from him. He was pretty talkative, and so I learned quite a few things. For example, I asked him what his favorite moment of the car was, and he said it was driving it over 100 miles an hour. He said, hands down, that was the most fun I ever had. But he told me some stories about it. Like if you look at the tops of the fenders here, there's 2 dents right here, just right on the top of the fender. And he said the way those got there is he was pulling a buddy of his out of the ditch, and when they got out of the ditch, his buddy drove over the chain, and the chain flew forward and hit the top of the fender on the car, and that's how they got there. So another story that he told was, if you look right back here, there's a little bit of a scrape ding right there. He said this car was parked out on the street and somebody backed into it, and that's how that one got there. He said there's 2 dents on the trunk lid, 2 little ones, one right there, one right there. He said, I don't know how they got there, but my mom put those in the car. He told me that when she had the car, that it was always garage kept. She took really good care of it. She didn't hardly ever drive it. And what was also interesting is he told me the story about when they first got it and how that came about. So if you look really close here, it's almost completely gone. You can see the remnants of the tag that said Palm Harbor Dodge. And that's where it was bought new at, down in Houston, Texas. And when I picked the car up, he asked me, or I asked him how many miles were on the car, if he knew, and he said it's whatever it shows on the odometer. He said my mom didn't drive it very much, so it's not that high. So now you can see there is 27,712 miles on it. And so according to Robert, that is the original mileage on this car. You know, there's a lot of things that seem to, you know, make that true. I noticed, like, you know, there's not a lot of wear on like the brake pedal. Also, when like the transmission was taken apart, the guy said, you know, that it looked like a new transmission inside yet. So I don't know, there's some evidence, you know, I don't know if it's true or not, but you know, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. So like the back bumper was pulled out a little bit when I got the car. You can see there's just a little bit of damage right there. They had stuck a hook on there thinking the bumper was strong enough, and pulled the bumper out a little bit, but I kind of straightened that out some. So Robert told me a little bit about how the damage on this side of the car got here, and I kind of pushed some of these dents out a little bit because the window wouldn't roll down in the rear window. But anyway, he said he was a little bit inebriated one evening and decided not to drive, and he let his girlfriend drive. And back in the 80s, the orange barrels out on the freeway used to be made of 55-gallon drums, you know, out of steel. And she didn't know where she was going, and she hit one of those, and that was how that damage got in the car. Anyway, it was really cool to have Robert come over and see the car again. It meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to him. He was, you know, excited to see the car again, and it was well worth it to me. I really enjoyed having him come over and to hear a little bit more history of the car. He told me the story that a friend of theirs worked at the dealership and called her up one day and said, hey, I got just the perfect car for you. Come on down here and let's take a look at it. And so, of course, this was it, and they took it home. So we talked about it a little bit, and we kind of speculated that because of all the options on this car, that it was like a dealer demo car, because he said he remembers there being a few miles on the car when they got it, and you know, and that makes sense with it being a dealer demo. You know, they were driving it, letting customers drive it, you know, things like that before they took it home. So it makes a lot of sense. We know the car was on the lot, you know, when when they came and took it, that's why they got the phone call and said, hey, we got just the perfect car for you, because the dealership already had it. So from what he remembers and just putting two and two together a little bit, we kind of think it was a dealer demo car. So anyway, that's a little bit more history that I know on the car. And I tell you, I was super excited to hear about it and to learn more about it. Another thing that I asked Robert about were the wheels that are on the car. I asked him if he put those wheels on, and he said he did. He was super excited, super proud of them. He goes, I remember when I found those back in like the late 70s, he goes, I really like those wheels a lot. And, you know, he was super excited to buy them and put them on the car. I've looked on these wheels for markings, and there are no markings, so I don't know what brand they are, but you know, I left them on because I think they're some really cool period correct, you know, type wheels, and I think they look great on the car. And it was the cheapest option for me, in all honesty, when I was putting this together, to just leave those wheels on it. But I love the wheels the way they are, and I think they look really good on the car. So Robert told me a story about the engine of this car, because I thought I remembered him saying when I went and picked it up that it didn't have the original engine in it, and at the time it didn't really matter to me. It looked like a correct engine, and I was more concerned with, you know, getting it home, getting it running again so I could drive it. But anyway, when he came over, he said that the car does not have its original engine in it, and I said, you've got to be mistaken on that, because this engine has its VIN number stamped in it. So it's definitely the original engine to the car. And he thought about it for a little bit, and he said, well, here's the way that played out. He goes, because when I got the car from my mom and I ended up, you know, driving it really hard, he goes, I blew the engine up in it, and I put a different engine in the car, and I traded the original engine from the car to a buddy of his, and he goes, I never knew what happened to it. And he goes, so I drove this car really hard all the time, and he goes, I blew that engine up. And he said, I was talking to my buddy, and my buddy goes, well, I've got an engine that I just rebuilt that would be perfect for you, and let's put that in the car. And so they put another engine in the car, and Robert said, that's the engine that's still in here to this day. And I said, well, he sold you back your original engine. He probably rebuilt it or did some work to it, because, you know, this one's got the VIN number for the car stamped in the side of the block. So this car actually went without its original engine for a little while, and just by sheer luck, luckily he blew up the other engine, got its original engine back. So to this day, it is still a number matching car, which is kind of cool. All right, guys, that's going to do it for another episode Up and Running. Thanks for watching. I have to share a quick story with you, though. When I was putting this video together, and I was looking through some of the video of my dog Bo, and her collar, the tags on the collar kind of clanked a little bit. And poor Nikki jumped up and frantically began searching the house for her, so I felt horrible for her. So you can tell she really misses her friend Bo. So anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to come back next time. Alright, guys. Oh, I wanted to do something different.